Well, hello. Today is Tuesday, February the 25th, and there was quite a bit of activity up on the Hill today. So let's jump right into it. The biggest thing that probably happened today was the long-anticipated revision of the inland port came through commission. Before we get into that, we also had a busy day on the floor. There were 24 bills heard, but 11 of those bills were contested, with 6 of them being heavily contested. So let's run through those really quick, just so you can get an idea of what's going on up there. And when I say heavily contested, I mean more than 10 representatives found a reason to oppose the bill for one reason or another. The first one was HB 262, which would limit prosecution to 11 years old. We had HB 118, and this was going to include e-cigarette under the regulation of tobacco. I should also mention that even though these were contested, every one of these bills passed. HB 298 redid some victim guidelines for prosecutors. We had HB 236, where the state would come in and evaluate the safe school zones and routes for school buses. We had HB 246, which was going to incentivize doctors to stay in Utah, even though 90% of them already do. We had HB 278, where we were calling for some prettier signs and barriers along Jordan River. We had HB 283, and this one set up a new commission that was created to evaluate the future needs of all of the recreation and public lands within the state of Utah. I saw that one as quite troubling. Anyways, back to the port, as we want to try to keep moving through all of this. So the port, for those of you that are politically minded, is nothing new. This was something that actually first came to us in 2018, brought to us by Francis Gibson. He's also a member of the Inland Port Board, so just bear that in mind. But this all started out in 2018 with HB 234. And this bill out of the gate was considered kind of a dirty bill. And the reason why I mention that is it actually was heard the second to the last day of the legislative session on the House floor after 9:30 at night. It was introduced and it was heavily debated. And then someone put up I call previous question, which for those of you that don't know, that would effectively end debate. It's a non-debatable motion. So the speaker simply said, all those in favor, yay. All those opposed. Listening to it myself, and I put the link below. You tell me if I'm crazy. It did sound like the nays had it, but there was no voting counted, so debate was ended, and we got the Port Authority. It was then in 2019 that it was revisited, and as it was revisited, it again moved through rather quickly. It was on day 39 that it came up again, but it did pass. And I need to mention, in 2018 and in 2019 and today, all Republicans are supporting this and all Democrats are opposing it. And I mean, it's very interesting. As you listen to the Democrats, they consistently call on the fact that they're there to represent their constituents, and their constituents have flat said, we don't like this bill. And as a result, I'm not going to vote for it. So very interesting. I'll let that kind of sink in for a second. But today, it was also really interesting because the inland port is being modified in just a few simple ways. One of the ways that they're trying to modify it is to give a variety of seats on the board. Salt Lake County was calling foul. We want more control. We want to understand this more. Well, as I was listening to the debate today, it still sounds just so preposterous to me. Again, as an individual who goes to a lot of city council meetings, let's say that they're going to take 1 acre, 2 acres of land, and a developer wants to do something with it. The city council will require them to show up with a plan, with drawings, with evaluations, with impact studies done on traffic, roads, environmental studies, sustainability studies, everything you can imagine. They have to come prepared to discuss, and this is on 1 or 2 acres. This inland port, which again, the link is down below, is going to comprise an enormous chunk of Salt Lake County proper. And there's no plan. There's no business plan. There's no drawings. There's Nothing about this so far. And again, when you think about a port, remember, typically a port is where we have those on the outskirts of the country, right? So shipping comes in and the boats are stopped and they offload the product from somewhere outside of the United States of America, and it sits there until it is approved and it is safe. Then it is distributed across the nation. Well, that's exactly what this inland port will be doing. We're going to be bringing articles into the heartland of America that hasn't been inspected, and it's going to come right to Salt Lake City, Utah, where we will inspect it. We will then look at it, and potentially we may need to send some of it back. We may need to store it. We may then put it on trains and send it out. But overwhelming that for something of this size, we're supposed to just trust what the bill's going to be doing, and that this inland port, quite frankly, is going to be doing everything just amazing. And this is going to not only be a benefit and a model for the United States of America, but testimony was offered today that this is going to be a model for the entire world, what they're going to do here. Again, I would love to see these plans, as would so many of those that were opposed it. Now, I really do congratulate the committee today. We heard from over 30 individuals, 15 for, 15 against. Again, very interesting. All of those that were for have a vested interest in this. So these are county commissioners that want to bring jobs to their areas. These are also people that will be developing it. And then those that were in opposition were citizens, were activist groups that just wanted to say, we haven't vetted this thing enough. So not to bore you with all of that, there's plenty of show notes down below where I tried to type out just very quickly some of the highlights of what they were alluding to. But so much of it focused on the studies, so much of it focused on the life-changing that would happen. Again, they're anticipating somewhere between 11 and 22,000 more trucks coming through Utah. Now, last year they said, well, we'll make it into a hub with wheels, with things going out, and maybe we can stop things at the border of Utah and not bring them all the way to Salt Lake, only to turn them around and send them back out. So a lot of these rural areas are saying, we love it. We love this thing. Bring it to us. We would love to have some jobs, and we'll save you on some of the emissions and all of that may happen within Salt Lake County. And most of us already know the smog up here is terrible. So we're going to double that, triple that. We don't know because no study has been done. So all very troubling, but again, it flew through the committee. I anticipate that this will be debated on the House floor very shortly. So we will wait that with anticipation and see, can the GOP keep doing what it does and motivate all the Republicans to support it and the Democrats to oppose it? We'll have to wait and see. But again, thank you so much for tuning in. Subscribe below, place your questions below. Thank you so much, and we'll see you tomorrow.